What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors decides he's done tolerating a morning show host's smug attitude? You're about to see exactly how that unfolds, and trust me, this one goes downhill fast. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and tell us what you think in the comments, because this story is something else. Picture this, a bright Tuesday morning on Good Morning America. Cameras rolling, lights blazing. And Michael Strahan sitting across from Denzel Washington, a man whose name alone commands respect. It's supposed to be a routine interview promoting Denzel's latest film. But within minutes, it becomes clear that this isn't going to be just another lighthearted chat. So, Denzel, Strahan begins, leaning back in his chair with that trademark grin. Another drama, huh? Another serious role. Don't you ever get tired of playing the same kind of character over and over? The studio air shifts. Denzel's brow arches slightly. He's done thousands of interviews in his career, but there's something about Strahan's tone, it's the phrasing, that rubs him the wrong way. "I'm sorry," Denzel says evenly. "What do you mean by that?" Strahan chuckles, oblivious to the warning in Denzel's voice. "Come on, man. You know, the serious guy, the mentor, the wise man who teaches everyone lessons. It's like you're stuck in a box. When's the last time we saw you do something fun?" Denzel leans back, folding his hands calmly. The camera zooms in just enough to catch the faintest flicker of irritation in his eyes. "Michael," T says slowly, "I've done comedies. I've done action. I've done Shakespeare. If you looked at my body of work, you'd see there's plenty of range." "Yeah, but come on." Strahan presses, the grin slipping into something more condescending. "People know you for the same vibe. Training Day, Man on Fire, The Equalizer. Same energy, right?" The audience begins to stir, sensing the tension. Producers exchange uneasy looks behind the cameras. Strahan, though, barrels on. "Michael," Denzel says, after a long pause, "have you actually watched my films? Because what you're describing doesn't sound like someone who has." Strahan laughs awkwardly, waving a dismissive hand. "Of course I have, man. I'm just saying, maybe it's time to loosen up. Do something light. A romantic comedy, maybe. Show people you can be funny." Now Denzel's voice drops lower, calm, measured, but dangerous. "Michael, I've been acting since before you've picked up a football. I've earned 2 Oscars. Been nominated for 10. Directed films. Done Broadway. So tell me, what exactly are you trying to say here?" Strahan blinks, realizing he's pushed too far, but instead of stepping back, he tries to joke his way out. "Hey, I'm not attacking you, man. I'm just asking the tough questions. That's what interviews are about. Tough questions." Denzel repeats, his tone cutting through the studio noise. "A tough question would be about my process. My perspective on storytelling. What you're doing is making shallow assumptions about a career you clearly haven't studied." The audience falls silent. Strahan's trademark smile falters. "Look," he stammers, "you're taking this too seriously. It's just a casual conversation." "Casual," Denzel says, leaning forward now, his gaze locked. "So when you have actors on your show, you just wing it. You don't prepare. You hope the conversation magically works out, that lands like a punch." Strahan forces a laugh, glancing toward the producers, but there's no rescue coming. "Come on, Denzel," he says weakly. "You know, that's not what I meant." "Then what did you mean, Michael?" Denzel asks quietly. "Because from where I'm sitting, sounds like you didn't bother to do your research about the person you're interviewing." The camera lingers on Strahan's uneasy smile as the tension thickens. The control room goes silent. The audience doesn't know whether to breathe, laugh, or clap, and in that moment, live on national television. It becomes clear that Denzel Washington isn't just answering questions. He's taking back the room. "Do you?" Denzel asks, his tone measured but piercing. "Because a few minutes ago, you suggested I only play one type of character. Which tells me you've either never actually watched my films, or you're choosing to ignore the range of my work for some reason I can't quite understand. The studio falls into total silence. Even the camera operators freeze. Everyone senses it now. This isn't just another tense interview. Something deeper, more revealing, is happening live. Strahan clears his throat, trying to regain control. Okay, let's start over. Let's talk about your new film. No, Michael, Denzel cuts in firmly. Let's not start over. Let's finish what we started. You wanted to have a conversation about my career, so let's have it. But let's have it based on facts, not on whatever preconceived ideas you brought with you today. The tension could be sliced with a blade. Strahan shifts uncomfortably, realizing he's in over his head, but his pride won't let him yield. All right, Denzel, I hear you, he says, his tone edging toward defensive. But you have to admit, when you look at the box office numbers, your biggest hits are all kind of in that same wheelhouse. I mean, that's just facts, right? Denzel's eyes narrow. The cameras zoom in slightly, capturing the flicker of disappointment, or maybe disbelief, in his expression. Box office numbers. Denzel repeats slowly. So now we're measuring artistry by commercial performance. I'm not reducing anything, Strahan replies, his voice tightening. I'm just saying the numbers don't lie. Your action movies make more money than your dramas. Michael, Denzel says, leaning forward slightly. Do you know what my highest-grossing film is? Strahan blinks. Probably one of the Equalizer movies. American Gangster, Denzel corrects instantly. A drama. Do you know what many critics consider my most acclaimed performance? Strahan hesitates again. Training Day. Some would say Fences, which I also directed, or Malcolm X, or The Hurricane. All dramas. All different men. All different worlds. Denzel's gaze is steady, unwavering. Different approaches. Different messages. Different truths. The audience doesn't make a sound. No one even shifts in their seats. They're watching a masterclass unfold, and it's clear who's the master. Strahan forces a laugh, trying to pivot. Okay, fair enough. You got me there. But I think what our viewers want to know is what's next for Denzel Washington. Are you going to keep doing these serious roles or surprise us with something new? Our viewers, Denzel repeats softly, his voice edged with something cold. Michael, how do you know what our viewers want to know? Did you ask them? Did you run focus groups? Strahan chuckles nervously. Come on, you know what I mean? No, I don't, Denzel replies. And that's been the problem since you opened your mouth. You keep making assumptions. You keep generalizing. You keep trying to fit me into boxes that don't exist. The smile is gone from Strahan's face now. He's visibly rattled, but still refuses to concede. Look, I'm just trying to have a conversation. You're making this way more complicated than it needs to be. Complicated? Denzel repeats, his voice rising just enough to command the room. Michael, asking an actor about their craft, their process, that's not complicated. That's the bare minimum of preparation for an interview like this. I am asking about your craft, Strahan insists weakly. No, Denzel replies, shaking his head. You're asking me to defend my career based on your limited understanding of what that career even is. There's a difference. In the control room, the producers are panicking. Cutting to commercial now would look like surrender. But keeping it live, that's turning into a slow-motion disaster. Strahan takes a breath, trying again. Okay, let me ask you this, he says, desperate to change the tone. If you could give advice to young actors coming up today, what would you tell them about choosing roles? Denzel doesn't miss a beat. I'd tell them to work with people who respect their intelligence and their craft. A few people in the studio gasp quietly. The jab lands hard. That's good advice, Strahan says, pretending not to notice the sting. And I guess they should also think about commercial appeal, right? I mean, at the end of the day, this is a business. Denzel stares at him for a long, heavy moment. The air feels thick. When he finally speaks, his tone is low, quiet, but cutting. "Michael," he says, "do you think I don't understand that this is a business?" "I didn't say that," Strahan mutters quickly. "You implied it," Denzel replies. "Just like you've been implying throughout this entire interview that I somehow stumbled into success, that I'm not aware of what I do or why it matters." Strahan's mask of composure slips. His voice trembles ever so slightly. "That's not what I meant at all." Denzel leans back, eyes still fixed on him. "Then what did you mean?" "Because I've been sitting here for 15 minutes, Denzel says, his voice calm but cutting. "Listening to you tell me about my career, my choices, my process as if I haven't been living it for 40 years. The camera lingers on both men. Strahan's face tightens, a mix of panic and regret, while Denzel looks like a man who's finally run out of patience with someone who came unprepared. "I think there's been a misunderstanding," Strahan says weakly. "There's no misunderstanding." Denzel replies, his tone controlled but edged with steel. "The understanding is crystal clear. You walked into this interview with a set of assumptions about who I am and what my career represents. And instead of asking questions to learn something new, you've spent this time trying to make me fit your idea of who you think I am." Strahan's eyes flick toward the cameras, a silent plea for rescue that isn't coming. "I was just trying to have an engaging conversation," he mutters. "Engaging for whom?" Denzel asks sharply. "Because from where I'm sitting, this feels less like a conversation and more like you're trying to prove a point that only makes sense in your head." The studio is utterly still. No laughter, no murmurs, just the hum of lights and the sound of two men locked in a standoff. Everyone knows they're witnessing something historic, not just an awkward exchange, but a complete collapse of professionalism on live television. "Maybe we should talk about your new movie," Strahan says, finally, desperate to steer things back on track. "Maybe we should," Denzel replies evenly. "But before we do that, maybe you should tell me what it's about, since you've done your research." A visible wave of discomfort passes over Strahan's face. His lips part, but no words come. The audience senses it instantly. He doesn't know. "Well, it's a drama, right?" Strahan says, forcing a thin smile. Denzel doesn't respond right away. He just studies Strahan, his expression a blend of disappointment and resignation. The silence grows heavier with every second until it's unbearable. Denzel isn't going to save him. He's letting the silence do all the talking. Strahan glances down at his notes, flipping through them aimlessly, hoping something, anything, will appear. But it's too late. Everyone can see the truth written on his face. "It's about..." Strahan starts, then falters. "It deals with some heavy themes, right?" Denzel doesn't blink, doesn't move. He just watches. The camera zooms slightly, catching the sweat beginning to form on Strahan's temple. Finally, Denzel speaks quietly, but with absolute command. "Michael, how long have you known you were interviewing me today?" "What do you mean?" Strahan stammers. "It's a simple question," Denzel says. "How long have you known I was going to be your guest?" Strahan shifts uncomfortably. "Well, these things are usually scheduled weeks in advance." "Weeks," Denzel repeats. "So you've had weeks to prepare for this conversation, and this is what you came up with?" The question lands like a punch. Strahan forces a shaky laugh. "Look, sometimes the best interviews are the ones that feel natural, conversational." "Natural," Denzel echoes, his tone colder now. "Michael, there's nothing natural about sitting across from someone and pretending to know their work when you clearly don't. That's not a conversation. That's laziness." "I know your career," Strahan snaps defensively. "Do you?" Denzel leans forward slightly, voice low and deliberate. "Then tell me about my new film. Tell me what it's about. Tell me who I play. Tell me who directed it. Tell me anything that shows me you spent even 5 minutes preparing for this interview. Strahan opens his mouth, but nothing comes out. The silence stretches deep, humiliating, final. The audience can feel his panic. His career, his reputation unraveling in real time. "This is ridiculous," Strahan blurts, his composure cracking. "I don't need to prove anything to you. I'm the host here." The words hit the room like a thunderclap. Even the producers freeze. Denzel blinks, genuinely surprised for the first time. "You're the host," he repeats slowly. "And what exactly do you think that means?" "It means I ask the questions, you answer them." "That's how this works," Strahan fires back, his voice trembling. Denzel studies him for a long moment, then shakes his head. "No, Michael. Being the host means you have a responsibility to your guests and to your audience. It means you prepare. It means you show respect to the people who take time out of their lives to be here." "I am showing respect," Strahan insists, his voice cracking under the pressure. "Are you?" Denzel asks, his tone sharper now, more commanding. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you think you can wing it. Like my time doesn't matter. Like my work doesn't matter enough for you to spend an hour learning about it." Strahan's face reddens. "That's not fair." "What's not fair?" Denzel replies, leaning in slightly. "Is bringing someone onto your show, someone who's given his life to this craft, and wasting their time with lazy questions and careless assumptions." The audience sits frozen. Strahan looks like he's been gutted on live television. Denzel.com and composed. Simply straightens his posture and looks toward the camera. A man utterly in control of a moment that has completely come undone. Because what's not fair, Michael, is having a platform like this, one that reaches millions of people, and not taking it seriously. The air in the studio feels electric now, charged with tension and disbelief. No one even breathes. What started as an awkward segment has become something larger, a masterclass in accountability, playing out live before the world. "Look, I think you're overreacting," Strahan blurts out, his voice breaking the silence, and instantly, everyone knows he's made a fatal mistake. Denzel's expression doesn't change, but his stillness becomes dangerous. When he finally speaks, his tone is so measured, so calm, that it cuts deeper than anger ever could. "I'm overreacting." "Yeah," Strahan says, fumbling for composure. "This is just a morning show interview. It's not that serious." "Not that serious," Denzel repeats, slowly, as if weighing each word. "Michael, do you know how many people watch this show?" "Of course I do. Do you know how many young actors are watching right now? How many students, how many filmmakers, how many dreamers are sitting at home learning what respect in this industry looks like?" Strahan's mouth opens, but no words come. His face says everything, the dawning realization that this isn't just an uncomfortable moment. It's a reckoning. "This isn't about one interview," Denzel continues. "This is about what we're teaching people, that it's fine to phone it in, to disrespect the craft, to treat an artist like a headline instead of a human being." I didn't think about it that way," Strahan says quietly. "No." Denzel replies, standing now, slow, deliberate, unshakable. "You didn't think at all." And that's the problem. The studio is silent as Denzel removes his mic with a calm precision that makes the moment feel ceremonial. "Michael, I've been doing this a long time," he says evenly. "I've spoken with journalists who challenged me, who pushed me, who made me reflect on my own work. That's what good interviews do. But this," he gestures around them, "this isn't that." Denzel, wait, Strahan pleads, half standing. "We can fix this." "Fix what?" Denzel interrupts. "The fact that you didn't prepare. That you spent 20 minutes reciting assumptions about my life's work. Or that when I called you on it, you told me I was overreacting." He places his microphone on the coffee table with quiet finality. The sound echoes like a closing door. "I came here to talk about storytelling, about passion, about the work." But I won't sit here and be disrespected by someone who couldn't be bothered to learn who I am. Denzel straightens his jacket, his composure unbroken. I've been in this business long enough to know when someone respects what I do and when they don't. Today, you've made it very clear which one you are. Strahan finally rises to his feet, his face pale, eyes pleading. But it's too late. Denzel is already walking away, calm, deliberate, unhurried. His steps echo across the studio floor as cameras follow him toward the exit. "Denzel, please," Strahan calls after him. But Denzel doesn't turn around. He doesn't need to. His silence says everything. He disappears off stage, leaving behind an audience in stunned silence and a host whose professional credibility just walked out the door with his guest. The camera lingers on Strahan, standing beside the empty chair, his face hollow with realization. The moment stretches on before the screen fades to black. And that's where our story ends, folks. One of the most respected actors of our time walked out of a live television interview because the host couldn't be bothered to show basic professional respect. What do you think? Was Denzel right to walk out, or should he have stayed and tried to salvage the moment? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more unbelievable stories like this.